I've been actually meaning to create for a while now a video slash episode about my personal experience of dealing with depression. In the past, I used to struggle for 6 years with it. It also developed further to actual suicidal thoughts once I got out of it, which I will talk about more in this video, right? Inspired me also to create actually Inner Path Seekers, to study psychology. I was so blown away by the fact that we learn nothing about our own psychology, and that is actually very helpful. It was just an endless darkness that never seemed to end. But you know, it did. And eventually, through a lot of changes that I want to talk about, in addition to just giving some insights into why I developed depression. Because I had depression when I was 12 to 18. You could say like, okay, yeah, but high school, you know, your puberty, the adolescence, that stage in your life, that's a challenging time. In a sense, that's true, right? I'm not a clinical psychologist yet, but I'm on my way, and I am just actually preparing now to take an exam in the subject of adolescence psychology. It's a time where you do experience negative emotions more strongly, but depression, that's not normal. Sure, it happens, but it's not the norm. Depression is a forest fire destroying everything on its way. It's very different than experiencing negative emotions more intense. So again, it's not normal, and neither is it really normal at any age. Things have to happen. There has to be a few ingredients that can create depression, because you can make anyone depressed given the right ingredients. It's been now 14 years, because at 18 really a lot of things changed. I took a lot of actions. So I've had like 14 years where I really often looked at that confusing time to kind of pick out what were the ingredients that contributed to the development of my depression. And in addition, also having, studied multiple subjects in psychology, confirming that these ingredients that I'm gonna share definitely impact other people as well to potentially develop depression too. So before we dive into some of the ingredients, I just want to share that there has been a change in psychology and just in medicine in general from a biomedical model to a biopsychosocial model. What this means is just that we look now at an individual and to an illness, not just biologically, but we also look psychologically and to their social environment. All three of them influence each other. I'm mainly just sharing that to highlight that any illness is most of the time multifactorial. It's not just one thing that causes it, but it's multiple things. It's more than one thing. When I'm sharing these ingredients that led to my depression, also kind of think for yourself through this lens of a biopsychosocial model to see how is that ingredient perhaps in my life. Is it there as well in maybe a different version? Because again, you can make literally anyone, given the right ingredients, depressed. The first year in high school, things were actually still quite good. I actually quite enjoyed it. I went to a technical school, so we learned a specific craft: electricity, woodwork, machinery. Why did I went to that school? Honestly, just because it was very close by. I had no clue what in the world I wanted to do, but I mean, like, how many 12-year-olds do? And I just knew a few people who also went to there. Two good friends of mine actually went to there. But the first year, it was just like everything. And I actually really loved that. We got like woodwork, building, machinery, electricity. I kind of liked that. Nothing was really off. Teachers liked me. Things changed in the second year. The first thing is we had to choose actually what we wanted to specialize in. I mean, what I really liked then was actually the variety of having all of them and the challenges that brought. So I chose for machinery because I was like, I guess this. It was being cut off from possibilities. I can really see that that's a big thing. Being cut off of possibilities of what you could become in life that were all in a way erased. I was like, okay, I have to do something with what I'm studying here, but I don't really enjoy it. Then also the two friends that were really good friends. Something happened between us. We had some fights and I kind of broke off from them, and that created also some kind of an instability in a way. And I started hanging out more with the people in my class. Not like the people in my class were, bad people or something, not at all, but they had vastly different interests to me. They had interests that actually made sense for the school that we were in. And another thing that really contributed was the fact that because I was broken off from these friends, because I had to choose but didn't really like any of the options that I had, I started to feel some sense of being lost. It's hard, right, to raise children. I lost my dad when I was 4 years old. It helps greatly when you have two parents to help you guide through life, to help you offer some advice. But I didn't really had that and missed that. But yeah, that also contributed to me becoming more and more lost in that second year. And then things just sort of started spiraling down. My thinking about myself started changing, which is a huge contributor to the developing depression. Okay, so far you could be like, okay, but those are more things that just, happen in high school. It's the essence of the ingredient that you gotta look at, right? The story will be different for everyone, slightly, right? Different also in the stage of your life. But the essence of the ingredient, that's what you gotta look at. And then we got into the third grade, and that's where things just got more severe. My own thoughts got way more severe about myself, way more negative. I was also feeling very bored. And actually, boredom can be a contributor to depression because I just didn't care about the subject, what I was, studying for. I really didn't care about it. My grades started to get very, very bad. Teachers also started treating me very different. Some of them just sort of started casting me away, started ignoring me way more. And that also, that feeds on the thoughts of someone, right? In me, it was like they don't like me, they hate me. And the grades then showed that I was not good enough. And then I had to take that year over again. You really feel completely dumb and stupid if you have to take over a year again. That story that I was telling myself, that I was dumb, that I was stupid, that I was not good enough, enforced itself even more. Life really started feeling like a prison. When you are young, and of course there's reasons for it, you don't have the same possibilities. Like the fact that I have this amount of freedom at, being an adult, I find it one of the most amazing things of being an adult. I can go anywhere, I can do anything in the end that I want, almost anything, right? But the options are vast, very vast compared to when you were young. But that limitation, that felt really like a prison to me. So again, look at the essence of some of the ingredients that I'm sharing here, right? For your specific stage, your situation that you're in, the age that you have. Because of the result that I thought I was very stupid, that I was not good enough, that I was worthless, these were all the things that I was saying to myself every day. This, depression developed further into suicidal thoughts. It's in a way natural to look for a solution out of it. And if there's no good solution, then suicidal thoughts very easily start to appear in someone's mind, which it did in my case. Also self-harm, because I hated myself. Now, self-harm is actually quite common in young people. It sounds very shocking, right? Like cutting yourself, but it's quite common actually. And it's a way to regulate your emotions, right? To translate the emotional pain to physical pain. It also releases endorphins. That's why it can actually feel good. It's even addictive in a way. Now, for those who are interested, I actually did an episode on the podcast of Inner Path Seekers on self-harm with Dr. Stephen Lewis, who is a researcher on the topic. Now, in addition to that, and this is what I always find interesting, he also used to do self-harm, which is actually why he started really researching it. In the description, I will put the episode so you can find it there, or you can, go on any podcast app and search for Inner Path Seekers and look for Dr. Stephen Lewis for that episode. Now, this is another ingredient. And again, looking at the essence, it's not specifically maybe self-harm, but the destructive kind of coping strategies that we use also further sink us down, further pushes us deeper into the darkness. Maybe for you it's, drinking a lot of alcohol or overworking. And then a last contributor that I can clearly see now looking back, I slept very poorly. I mean, I slept maybe like 3 to 4 hours almost every day through high school. Why? Because first of all, I hated going to school. So of course, when I was out of school, I didn't want the day to end. So I just kept on, in my case, playing video games, which, and I will talk about that in a second, really saved my life. It was the only place where I felt like I could be myself. So that's why I also just didn't sleep much. That is also a major component to depression. And this is the biological area, right, of the biopsychosocial model. Even if you sleep an hour or 2 hours for one day, not enough, you are way more cranky. You are way more, emotionally unstable. So do that for, almost every day for 6 years. I guess you can see how these are quite some good ingredients to get this dish of depression. So also for you, look at the essence of everything that I shared, what the ingredient is. Likely if you are facing depression, you will find similar ingredients in your life as well. Now you know some of the ingredients and you know about mine. I want to share what in the end actually really helped me to get out of this depression. From 12 to 18, that's where the curve just increased and increased. The intensity of depression, the intensity of really wanting to commit suicide. There was a point where I had all the plans and was ready to go and commit suicide. In that moment of insanity when I wanted to take my life, there came this moment of clarity because I was so shocked. So utterly shocked that I was truly doing this, that I was truly standing ready to take my life that day. So, from 18, things started shifting. First of all, one thing that helped me while I was in the depression, and I touched a little bit on this, but it was actually having something that still kept me going while being in a forest fire, while living in this darkness. And for me, what truly saved my life back then was video games. And for some people, this is gonna sound funny, I guess, but I can't thank games and game developers enough. In my case, it was World of Warcraft. It was a place where I could be myself. It was a place where I was someone who had an importance, right? It was a place where I could make other friends because you play with other people. It was a place where I felt growth, right? Because you level up this character that you have. You make it stronger. I had freedom. I had freedom to go wherever I wanted to go in that world. I had everything that I didn't have in real life. It's important when you have depression to have at least one light, one source, one thing that still helps you to continue going. A movie that you're really looking forward to watch, or a series that you're really still excited about that will come out at some point. These are actually already great things, because sometimes it's just about surviving another day, and the next day things can become different at some point when you feel a bit more ready to take a step forward to getting out of this, to do something about this depression that you have. Oh, and also here, of course, while I'm sharing what really helped me, also look through the lens of the biopsychosocial model to see what you can do in one of those 3 areas to change something. Whilst video games helped me to keep going, I was still depressed. Like nothing there really changed. The biggest thing that helped me to get out of my depression was changing my environment. Being 18, being finally able to leave school, an environment that was keeping certain things stuck, like my thinking. I looked on the internet for possibilities to just, I don't know, I always liked helping people, and I lost that in high school, but that's always been a core value of me. I looked on the internet for some way to help people, and I thought about volunteering. And then I somehow ended up to a volunteering project in South Africa. It was a building project to build a school for children in the townships in South Africa. Here is where I'm beyond grateful for my mom. I went downstairs, I told my mom, and she 100% supported me. And so she paid for that, right? For 2 months, I was able to go to South Africa. I can tell you, in 2 months, I completely changed. I completely changed from who I was before that. Even my physical appearance changed. And it was truly because of I leaving the environment that became a prison and really stepping out of it. Any environment that's radically different, it challenges you in certain ways. There are different people with different views, and there's a different culture in this case. And so I started seeing everything that I believed before that to be not true. I thought that there were only a set amount of possibilities of what you could do professionally because of my school, and I discovered there that there were actually way more options and way more possibilities. I also started learning more about myself. People actually really seemed to like me there. They had the same values like me, which was very different in high school. They said good things about me, which I was beyond surprised about, and the children there really liked me. And all of this, was in a way very overwhelming. I started questioning certain things unconsciously of what I vividly believed about me, which was that I was worthless and not good enough and stupid. Slowly but surely, in those 2 months, started putting some holes in that belief. What this comes down to is what really helped me and what can help many people who are depressed is their environment, is holding them down to a certain viewpoint, to certain thoughts and beliefs about themselves. So radically changing it for a set amount of time, you gotta expose yourself to other people and other places that can help you challenge certain things that you believe about yourself. If you change your social environment, it's gonna have effects on your psychology. So try to radically change your environment. That could be, leaving the current house or apartment that you are to live somewhere else, another city in your country, another country perhaps, or changing your job if you know that it's actually making you miserable. People often very much underestimate the impact of their environment. Your environment has a huge impact on your psychological well-being or the relationship that you're in, right? These are all things that can dramatically make you unhappy or happy. So you gotta adjust something there. Now, the other thing that really helped me. Your thoughts are a major component to the development of depression. From 18, I basically started traveling for 3 years around the world. Truly, for me, that was a journey of self-healing, of a lot of growth, a lot of learning about myself. And more holes started to go through that belief that I had, that I was worthless, stupid, and not good enough. So with that, also my thoughts started changing. I also started to discover self-help books, which, to be honest, they really have helped me. Some of them really, really have helped me, like The Power of Now, The Road Less Traveled, the Peaceful Warrior. These have been books that had a true impact on my life because they gave me, new viewpoints that I never had, that no one ever showed me. Your thoughts are a huge reason for the depression that you might have. What thoughts are you telling yourself? Now, there is this, chemical imbalance theory, right, there isn't a lot of strong evidence that it is actually a chemical imbalance, right? The lack of serotonin. More and more research is showing that that's not true at all. That it is, again, mainly just your thoughts, your thinking that are causing your depression, not a chemical imbalance. I interviewed someone, Dr. David Burns. He is a psychiatrist from Stanford who used to do a lot of research on the chemical imbalance theory, and he and more started seeing that it's actually a very flawed theory that didn't seem to be very true, and he kind of abandoned his research on that, started working more on developing psychotherapies. He developed team therapy, and throughout the years, more and more it has been shown that, again, the chemical imbalance theory doesn't have very strong evidence, and that, again, it's mainly your thoughts that are causing your depression. So why I'm sharing that is because it can often be that we think like, oh, there's something wrong with me, within my body. I have this chemical imbalance, that's why I'm depressed. If it is your thoughts, then actually there is a lot more that you can do than if it would be a chemical imbalance, right? So that's actually quite great. I interviewed Dr. David Burns on the podcast of Inner Path Seekers about the chemical imbalance theory and about what to actually do to treat depression, right? So how to change your thoughts. I can highly recommend you to check that episode out. Also in the description, I will put a link, or again, go to whichever podcast app you have, look for Inner Path Seekers and search for the episode with Dr. David Burns. There is something called the cognitive triangle in cognitive therapy or in cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's basically where you have, it's a triangle, right? So you got thoughts, feelings, and behavior. It's the thoughts that creates the feelings, not the feelings that create the thoughts. And to sort of demonstrate that, it's very hard for you to feel jealous right now. It's very hard to do that, to feel that, unless you think about a moment where you were jealous, right? Then you can start feeling that. Anyone can create a thought out of nowhere instantly. You know, if I would ask you to think about a penguin eating an ice cream, or think about a flying elephant, like, you can instantly create that visual thought within your head, right? Again, thoughts lead to feelings, and feelings lead to a certain action, a behavior. It is so important to become aware of the thoughts that you are telling yourself, that are going on in your head. What is the self-talk? Because for people who are depressed, the self-talk is very, very negative. If you become a master at the thoughts that you let into your head and to question them, to not just instantly believe them, we're very good in general at thinking negative things about ourselves. And sure, negative things can help us to improve, but there's a certain degree that has to maybe be dialed down to, right? Because it can also be crippling if you only believe very strongly bad things about yourself. Then it's not really serving that much of a purpose to help you grow, right? So again, really start to become more aware of your thoughts, right? And remember the cognitive triangle, that thoughts create feelings and feelings lead to behavior. Start learning more about your own thoughts. And the episode with Dr. Burns is a great episode. And also his book, Feeling Great, The Evolutionary New Treatment for Depression and Anxiety. Both can be found in the description. Those would be great ways to start already working on these thoughts that you have and to start learning more about them. Another thing that really helped was eventually also talking to other people who had depression. Even when I was already in a better place, it was still very worthwhile. I still feel like I discovered some new things about myself in that time when I had depression, and it was just the feeling some recognition, hearing some empathy, because it doesn't mean that when you are not completely in there that it didn't leave its marks, right? Depression will leave some scars, some wounds behind that, turn into scars, but they can still occasionally hurt. Now, I also actually made a series series of episodes on the podcast of Inner Path Seekers, where I talked to others who had depression, who struggled and came out of it. That could also be already a great place to just start spending some time with others who have been where you are currently. Also, in the description, I will link up the episodes, or again, just look for Inner Path Seekers on whichever podcast app, and you will just find the episodes there. Seeing how they got out of it and hearing maybe some potential ways that you haven't thought about can give some hope that you could maybe also get out of it. I am offering also just you to leave a comment down below and to even reach out to me, on Instagram, or just go to Inner Path Seekers or the IPS project. Well, both ways will get you there. .com and search for the contact form and just message me if you just want to share something, even if you want to have a chat with me, right? We can set up a call. Like, honestly, I know the pain. I know how lonely, how confusing it is to go through this. And if I can help at least a little bit someone to feel less alone, then I gladly make time for that. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Also in the description, I will insert some links to do contact me if you want to. And if I think about the last thing that really helped me to get out of this depression, it was exposing my worldview, seeing what was possible, seeing the vast amount of possibilities. Because again, my environment back then was very limiting in showing me what I was able to do. And our environment consists out of our friends, family, the country that we live in, the work that we have, the school that we go to. These are all things of our environment that give a certain view. If you move to another environment, you will get glimpses of other views, other ways of doing something, of thinking, of living. So I feel for myself that was a huge contributor to my depression, feeling so limited in what I was able to do. And so traveling, again, really opened my views into seeing truly how many possibilities there were in terms of work. Like, I never knew that you could be a dive master, a surf instructor, park ranger, a voice actor, a sports coach, a photographer, a cruise ship entertainer, a tattoo artist, a dog trainer, a traveling street performer. These are all things that I've seen people do, along with many other things while I was traveling. Or you can just create your own job, right? Which I did with this project with Inner Path Seekers. I mean, also in terms of lifestyle, there is a sort of picture that we have been given by society of the right way to live, right? You just have an apartment or a house. But honestly, you could also live on a boat. You can also live in a camper van. And I've actually lived in a van for 2 years, and on and off, I'm still living part-time in a van when I'm not, here. So there are more ways to life than often our environment shows us. But we have to go out and explore other areas of the world to see other possibilities. Now, some of the ways to sort of have your view more open is by exposing yourself to another environment, which can be done through traveling, but also books can be a great form. Podcasts, videos like, this, documentaries can be a great way. Online forums can be great. That, to me, starting to see those possibilities, that vast amount of possibilities, it allowed me to be more authentic to who I am, because I, in a way, had more possibilities to choose from that really aligned with who I am. It really helped to getting out of that depression and to living today quite a happy and fulfilled life. It was also after doing all of those things, starting to take care of myself, right? Like my sleep, my food intake, what I was eating, water consumption, my stress levels. But those are sometimes more of a luxury thing to do that you can more easily do when you are a bit more out of this bushfire, this forest fire, when it's a little bit less of a forest fire. Focus more on the first things that I said, and then definitely once your thinking has changed, once you made some environmental changes, once you feel some support from others, once that's there, right, then starting to take care of yourself are like the fine-tuning that, can really completely get you out of this depression that you're feeling. And that's the biological component of the biopsychosocial model, right? And like I said, and I just want to repeat it because I do mean it, if you want to chat about something, if you just want to share something that's on your mind, you can do that in the comment section down below, or yeah, just get in touch with me, right? Let's just have a chat. I'm here for you if you want that. So yeah, look in the description for ways to contact me, and I gladly have a chat with you. Thanks for watching, and maybe I get the chance to welcome you on another video/episode. Until then, see you. Bye.